Well, this is not the first time that Nike has been at the center of controversy. It's proved profitable for the company so far. When it comes to the flag, though, there's a wider and more disturbing question related to the influence of hate groups. For more on that, I'm joined from Los Angeles by Mike Jackson. He's the founder of marketing communications company 2050 Marketing. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me.
So in your view, was Nike's decision to recall the Betsy Ross shoe the right one from a business perspective?
Definitely. From a business perspective, it's very important for a brand like Nike to really stay true to its values, stay true to its positioning, and once they stray into areas that, frankly, their brand hasn't been positioned as, then they get in trouble. So I believe it was the right thing to pull the shoe.
And are there some other global examples of symbols of hate or extremism and businesses really being co-opted?
Yeah, it's unfortunate, but some of these extremist groups, some of these nationalist groups, they're taking symbols that are very, very, rich in history, and they're literally, kind of hijacking them and using them in negative ways. And again, if you're a brand like Nike, the last thing you want to do is for your consumers to be associated with things that they find negative.
And you mentioned that historical context, especially when it comes to the Betsy Ross shoe. I mean, you can see that it can represent completely different things to different people. So how should companies navigate essentially reclaiming their symbols versus steering clear once these hate groups or extremists have given them a different new meaning?
Well, it's important for brands to really understand, what's happening within the markets that they serve. Diversity is not about selling product. It's not about, speaking to consumers. It's kind of the world we live in. And so brands like Nike and Pepsi and others, they need to be very savvy and really understand not just the implications that involve making or doing transactions, but, where their brands fit in this cultural space that we live in.
Now, there can be implications that if a company doesn't speak up, that they perhaps side with these hate groups who are hijacking their brands. What do you do if you're a company that decides to just not take a stand? What are some of the consequences?
Well, I think the consequences are going to be a negative for brands that don't take a stand. A lot of millennial consumers who kind of grew up online and in social media, they want to follow brands that they respect. They want to follow brands that they love. They want to follow brands that are aligned with their social values. So I don't think successful consumer brands in this day and age could stay on the sidelines. But as I said earlier, they really have to stay true to their positioning and not stray outside that sphere.
Now, when these issues tend to arrive, there certainly is this window of opportunity where people tend to take sides. We saw Arizona's governor later reverse course and then welcomed the 500 jobs and the $184 million worth of investment that Nike would bring to his state. So what are the economic pitfalls of these companies really confronting these issues head on?
Well, again, I just think they have to be smart. They have to do their homework. They have to stay socially relevant, and they have to speak to consumers in ways that they truly understand. And where most of these brands get in trouble is just not having the culture, not having the diversity within their respective creative ranks and/or decision-making ranks, where these topics are discussed. It's part of their overall communication strategy, and they have a very distinct understanding of the dialogue and conversations going, within the culture as well as within the underculture as well.
So what does the fact that these companies are first producing and then pulling these controversial products tell us about where things actually stand with companies when it comes to diversity, assuming that that is their goal?
Yeah, that's a really, really good question because we've seen over the last 6 months, specifically in the fashion area, Gucci has had a couple snafus, Burberry, the whole H&M issue that arose, now Nike. And it's been long believed that a lot of those problems are caused by just not having a sense of multiculturalism when it comes to decision making. I know Gucci literally shortly after their latest snafu made a strong commitment to ensure that they diversify their organizations and do it in a way that gives them a better understanding of their consumer, but a better understanding of the conversations that are going on in this global world that they're trying to sell products in.
Now, as we're seeing, politics and business are increasingly colliding. So how much influence do some of these hate or extremist groups actually have when it comes to corporate strategies?
You know, I don't know if they have an influence. I think there just needs to be an understanding of whatever market you're serving and whatever country you're serving, that there is these extremist groups. They do have a greater voice in this era of social media, and they've always been out there, but now they have a voice. And in the past, that voice was small. Now that voice is amplified in ways that we've never seen before. So I think it's just really important for brands to really have the organization that really reflects the cultures that they're trying to serve. Obviously, diversity, having people of color, having females in decision-making positions. And that's not going to just give them that era of diversity. That's going to really allow them to have a better understanding of the intersection of brands, activism, diversity, as well as conversations in pop culture.
Thank you so much. We'll have to leave it there. Mike Jackson there, founder of 2050 Marketing.